This is the BullRun podcast. You are here with Spencer Lowry and Devon
Konyha.
Konyha. Where does that name come from?
It's Hungarian.
Hungarian. It sounds like a...
It's kitchen.
It means kitchen?
Yes.
Oh, no. I always thought it sounded like Inuit.
Mm.
You know?
Yeah.
So, I was like...
There's different pronunciations. I've been called Devon Konyha. Different ways of saying it, but it's just Konyha.
Konyha would be the one that I would probably use the most. Just it fits like my mental image.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is my cousin, by the way. Technically, you're my
second
cousin. Yeah. He's my cousin. Don't believe it. Your second cousin once removed, I think.
My mom would be your father's first cousin.
Yeah, my father's first cousin. But we've not necessarily grown up together, but we've spent, since I was 15 years old, lots of time together.
Yeah.
So, grew up together. Devon has very staunch, but very good worldviews.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We're just going to start out with this. What do you think the nature of reality is? What do you think it is?
I believe reality is more... There's different layers of reality.
Uh-huh.
Because even with the way science perceives it, we always seen it as a three-dimensional, when even science lately says there's more to reality than that three-dimensional.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's now 4, 5, and 6 layer of dimensional
states.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we mostly, for the most part, most humans, I assume, perceive reality as a three-dimensional state thing.
Yeah, because that's the only way we can perceive it.
But what if we can perceive it other ways?
There are ways, I think. We just have to let go of our belief of sight.
Belief of sight?
Yeah.
Is that like...
the sight is what keeps is how they described it, is like, if we let go of what we see instead of what we think,
mm-hmm.
then we can actually probably perceive reality in a different view instead of...
Is that like what, like, the monks and all those people are doing?
I believe so. I think they are meditating to a Zen state of different dimensional
states. So I've meditated into those. I call that place, there's different levels of it. I call it the room.
Right,
and
the astroplane.
Astroplane, the room, the place of existence that's not here. I've gone to it via dreams, via meditation, different forms, and it's like, oh, I am in a different place. My consciousness is here, but it's very clearly not here.
Right.
So
I also have been in there. It's a very fascinating place.
It is. Do you ever see... I call it, when you're in that place, it's kind of like almost psychedelic-y, like,
mm-hmm.
and like you'll see like the patterns that are like fractally.
Yeah,
over.
like you're in when you were looking in a
kaleidoscope.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it just overlays everything.
I can't stay in it very long because it gets me in like a state of hypnotic state too long.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I can maintain the room pretty easily. I can go to that and then just be there.
Have you been to the room next door where it's almost like the Akashic record type of deal, or the literal knowledge?
Yeah. There's like, I guess you would call them entities or things, but they're not human-like.
No, they're the keepers of knowledge, I think.
Keepers of knowledge. It's almost like, have you watched...
The pool is blue.
Yes.
I put that stuff in it. that I bought, the little blue stuff,
Mm-hmm.
it works fucking great. It has not been blue in a long time.
That was Roy. Y'all will get him in a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah, so have you watched The Good Place?
Mm-hmm.
Alright, you know what Janet is.
Mm-hmm.
I think the people there
Are like Janet, yeah.
are like Janet.
But they feel so real. They don't feel like they're robots.
But they're closer to a machine than they are a...
Yeah, but they also feel like a nicer version of the gray aliens.
Very much so. Dorian, it's okay. That's the dog. Yeah, like nicer version of gray aliens. They, just like these record keeper, like, entities that...
Because they can give you anything you ask for. You just have to be specific about what you ask.
Very specific, because all knowledge is true in that viewpoint. So if you're like, I need to know what human existence is, they'll show you everything from the happiness to the sadness, all the suffering, all the enjoyment, all of it.
Because if you say, I want to know how humans exist, they can actually give you specific points of how humans exist.
Yeah, like a large portion of human existence is suffering. That's part of the karmic cycle. Santram, I think is what it's called in Hinduism.
Yeah.
And it's the suffer cycle. And that's part of it. And that's the, I guess you would say, the tuning into the dial of, and that's what humans are, I think, are kind of like a pitchfork of tuning in.
Yeah.
And that's a very important part. And they will straight up show that to you. And you're like, oh.
Yeah.
Like that was the answer I was looking for, but
not the answer I was seeking.
Not the answer I was seeking. Not the answer I wanted. It's kind of like, you know, if you want a big house, yeah, you can get lucky and inherit one, or you can
build a big house.
Build a big house, and they're like, all right, you want a big house? You gotta build it. So you're gonna go through all the suffering, all the pain, all the things required to get that big house. So Dorian, it's just Roy. So yeah, it's.
And that's what I also, with the dimensional realities, I also think that during the ancient times, I think that's our dimensional realities actually were collided at one point where there was lots of wormholes or lots of dimensional breaches.
Lots more bridges. I think that's what a lot of. I'm going to use Hinduism a lot this time. I think a lot of, like, when we look at Hindu text and we see a lot of where they're explaining something and we're like, that doesn't make sense, it's because it doesn't make sense here in the three-dimensional state. So we'll have a lot of, like, looking at these yoga texts where they'll be like, oh, this is a state of consciousness, or this is a state of being. It's almost knowledge that you feel like they shouldn't have been able to have.
Yeah.
In that primitive of a society. You know?
Which I believe there was an advanced... Our society is much older than people give it credit for. I think that that our ancient civilization was a little bit more capable of what we can do now. But something happened where everything went into a darker age.
Do you think we're heading back towards that crossing of dimensions spot?
Well, it's more, not with faith, more with science.
More with science. That's almost like a missing tool. So, like, beforehand, so, like, one of the things I listened to is the Da Ramen. And he talks a lot about how these ancients, societies had one side of the coin, but they didn't have the science part. They understood all the consciousness from an emotional side, and they understood all about consciousness in like our physical bodies in the sense of a physical body experiencing it.
Yeah.
They didn't have the science behind it. They didn't understand why the neurons fired the way they did.
Right.
And so and his thing is, part of the goal now is to make those two things join together, the emotional side and the science side.
Right.
And that's the journey we're on right now. And then once we reach that point, we'll sustain it for a while, and then there'll be another collapse, and we'll have another thing we have to figure out.
Right.
And basically said this was an eternal state of understanding reality understanding itself.
Yeah.
And so,
because I don't think even when you get into the state of a peaceful situation, you can never stay in that state, because there has to be an imbalance in order to get back to a balance. It's kind of like a heartbeat.
Yeah. A peaceful heartbeat isn't beating.
Right.
I think when you're at a state of complete zen, or where there's no contentment, there's nothing exciting going on.
Right.
And part of the universe is to experience excitement.
Right.
And if
you're in a neutral state.
If you're in a neutral state, there's nothing to experience. So why would a universe that's bored have complete peace?
Right. And I believe that peace is more the deal with the combining chaos and order.
Uh-huh.
Because if you combine the two, you create a perfect balance of the two that, like, gives you not a peaceful state, but I don't know how to describe it. It's like a natural state. Because you need both in order to function in the actual reality.
The actual reality. Yeah. So, back to aliens, because I'm going to dissect you here. You're all into the ancient aliens thing.
I am.
You are. Nothing to be embarrassed about there.
I'm not embarrassed about it. I embrace it full-heartedly.
You embrace it full-heartedly? So do you think they're like physical things from our reality coming from other places in the universe? Or do you think they're like a higher dimensional thing coming down?
So I have mixed views on it. I believe that the aliens that are there that you discussed before, I think that they are the aliens from the different star sectors.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the aliens in the past were not only them, but also a different dimensional beings that were crossing over.
Like a higher dimensional being coming down to...
Yeah, but I believe those dimensional beings were what we considered gods. The Olympians, the Asgardians, the Egyptians, because they had more different features than what we've seen with the aliens. Because they had either they wore masks, or they actually had face of animals, or they actually, I believe they didn't have weapons, but actually commanded the elements themselves.
Commanded the substrate of reality around them.
Yeah.
I've been told that in the room that the goal is for us to learn how to basically manifest things into existence. Like you look at a thing and you look at the reality around you, and it warps to whatever you want it to be.
Right.
Now, how do you explain that? How would they do that? We have to scientifically break that down.
Right.
And figure out how they would do that.
Which is harder without the actual... I mean, the best way to describe it is that they were born with that ability.
Yeah, but is it humans' job to learn how to do that?
Well, that's what people keep saying, that we are born from their image or born from their structure. But if we would have to have a certain DNA structure, I think, in our system, which if we had, which we could have, and I'm not sure, that if we had it, we would be able to unlock the elemental forces around us.
Mm-hmm.
Which not a lot of people can do. Only a certain people can access that kind of ability. They have to unlock, like, with their psychic abilities.
Mm-hmm. Huh. Because, I mean, I would love to look over there and say, I want a chair there.
And it manifests immediately.
And it manifests. But, I mean, we could eventually do that. So, like, through nanotechnology, we could make our reality basically will to the way we wanted it through technology. You know, like if you had a house built out of nanobots, it could shapeshift into whatever you thought you wanted it to look like. Or we could upload our consciousness to like a computer in a simulated reality and have it where consciousness completely controlled the simulated reality the way it wanted to. Because the consciousness doesn't care whether or not the thing around it is simulated or if it's in the base reality. So either or it can do that, you know.
And then there's also teleportation.
Teleportation. That would be nice. But that might be no different than saying, you know, let's say we're the only conscious things in existence, the two of us. And we say, I want to be in Miami, and then the simulation goes, all right, let's build Miami around them. Instead of our consciousness physically moving, it could build whatever it wanted around.
Right.
You know, or it could just move the file that is your consciousness over to another server, which is Miami.
But what if you say, I want Miami to come to me?
Yeah, you could build it around you. Either or. And I was watching Alex Lex, who's another podcaster, yesterday, and what's his name? I think he's half Japanese. He's the physicist with the white hair.
I think I've heard of him.
What's his name?
Are you talking about the
Kyoso?
Oh, I love him. Yes, he's the physicist, the perfect physicist.
Yeah, that dude. He was talking about uploading our minds into basically a computer stated simulation, and the way to travel the stars will not be actually sending physical bodies to a place, sending a robot that can build a body that can host a consciousness to those places, or nanobots that can build those, and then basically turning our consciousness into light and shooting it to that new robot body.
Right.
You know, so you could turn on your body on the moon and explore the moon for a while, and then say, I want to go back to London, shoot back to London. You know, like basically having the capability of our consciousness from jumping from body to body.
Yeah.
I think that would be pretty fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's the goal. I think we'll get there eventually.
Now, the goal, I think it would be fun to actually do it with organic matter.
Well, you could probably do that. So like Elon Musk is having the neural net, you know? You could have the chip that downloads the consciousness onto the biological level and shoot consciousness from body to body.
Yeah.
I kind of worry about when we do get the neural net where everybody's connected, us going from individuals to a hive mind.
Right. It's in the body. The thing is, if going inside of a dead body, like, there's no...
But the body can just... Like, we can keep a heart alive, you know? You can have the body's virtually dead with no soul, just sitting there. And then consciousness would be the soul, and then you just put a soul in it.
Yeah, but how long would we keep the body from decaying before we can actually download them?
I think we could probably make, you know, biologically superior bodies, or superior, not superior, superior bodies that could stay in a test tube like embryonic state and stay good for as long as the equipment is managing it properly. Or you could have on Mars, version 500 whatever body, and you have a constant, basically a factory making meat bodies.
Gosh, that feels like a cloning machine.
Yeah, it would be a cloning machine, and each of those can have unique souls put in them, and you could send, your consciousness is sent to Mars, or you divide your consciousness and send a copy of it to Mars, and you choose, like, I want that body. Have you seen Altered Carbon?
A little bit, yeah.
The same concept, you have the stack, which is the soul, and just move it from body to body.
Mm-hmm. But that feels like we're going into the remote reincarnation there.
Remote viewing incarnation, that's okay. I like that. Transportation is a big problem. It's kind of destroying the Earth right now. Sending light waves across the planet is a lot carbon neutral, more carbon neutral than sending a physical body.
Yeah.
Me flying all over the country just is eating up coal.
Right.
So I would rather not do that. I'd rather the planet be zen.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather the planet be more stable than it is, and right now we're causing a lot of problems for the planet. So
I think most of it's because people don't really either care or see.
I think there's a lot of not caring. You see someone, I have a lot of hipster friends, and they all smoke American Spirits. That's what I smoked when I was a smoker. American Spirits or Camels. And they know that flicking that cigarette bud is really bad for the earth. They know that. The companies who make the cigarette buds know that. Everybody knows that. But they still did it.
Because it's hip.
It's hip, or it was it's the inconvenience of
tossing it away or throwing it in the trash.
Throwing it in the trash. And so I think it really sucks for more intelligent people that create, the reality around us, that create TVs or whatever. Our goal and purpose is to make it the least inconvenient as possible for people to do the right thing, because most people do not do the personal responsibility thing right.
Mm-hmm.
So, which really sucks, but it's true.
And I also believe that with the dimensions thing, is that I believe that, like I said, that we always perceive it as a 3-dimensional reality.
Uh-huh.
I always wanted to go see the world in the
other dimensional states.
Yeah, not like 4-dimension or 6-dimension, but like see it as a flat.
Flat.
Like two dimensions.
2-dimensional.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, I think it would be funny.
Well, I think that's probably what they're experiencing, the doggos and the animals.
They think of it. You think they see it in a 2-dimensional state?
Probably. So they're probably on the lower chain of the consciousness level, and so like you have baseline of existence, which is the singularity point, or dimensional 1, which is probably going to be single cell. The only thing they know is they can experience is within inside themselves until they bump into something else, and then they consume it, and that just becomes part of them. And then you have multicell, which would be organisms, which would be like the 2-dimensional state, and that probably works all the way up until consciousness is able to perceive time.
Mm-hmm.
And they're probably the transitional state into perceiving time. And then once we learn how to like climb through time properly, like we'll be able to go, I want to go to that point in my life, or like I traveled all over, I want to go to that particular point. That will be like a 4th-dimensional being, that can go
Time travel?
Yeah, time travel, but not in the sense that like we perceive it. It's more like they can go and
perceive it in their head.
Maybe, but like actually go there, so like they would be aware of what they're doing, and they don't have any choices of like free will, I guess, in that sense. So, but they would go, I want to go to 12-year-old Devon, you know, the 12-year-old Devon 300 days into the year, you know, hour 4, whatever, and they can experience that hour. And when they're in that state, they're experiencing it like it is. And then when they back away, they can take their notes of that existence or whatever. They're forced to experience it almost in a 3-dimensional state.
So have you played Assassin's Creed?
I have.
So do you think it's similar to how they described going into your past life?
Sorta, probably. I probably think the big consciousness that is like all of human experience is the 4th-dimensional thing. You know, we're probably all one soul experiencing all of humanity.
Mm-hmm.
And then once the human train is over, it goes, whoa, that was a cool ride. Time to start over or
go to sleep.
Maybe progress on to the next thing, you know, until it experiences everything it can possibly experience of all complexity everything a human could ever do.
Yeah, it's why I believe Hindus say that we keep reincarnating over and over until we have achieved perfect.
Mm-hmm. But there is no such thing as perfection. I mean, the golden rule teaches us that. Oh no.
Ah!
It's okay, we'll just do audio. I don't know why it died. That's frustrating. I ordered a thing to stop it from doing that, where I can like plug it up to an outlet and it just stays on. So, but I am gonna go plug up these batteries real quick so that they'll be fully charged for whoever.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I'll be right back.
To be continued.
To be continued. Well, no, we're gonna continue.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll just put my little dude over it. I think you have too much knowledge that the rest of humanity is not ready for, Devon. So it's like, no, Devon's secrets can't be released because that's dangerous.
Right. The camera died, Roy.
It's okay, we're just...
It'll be resurrected. Oh, Jesus.
Jesus. Yeah, I think you have too much knowledge that the universe is like, the rest of the humans can't know this. Devon's time traveled too much. That's the thing I judge you for the most is your ability. You would be the person that goes, I've watched all of One Piece last night.
Yes.
And I'm like, how? Did you have 300 TVs on and watch all episodes at once? What did you do?
Okay, with Fairy Tail, it was... I just stopped. I just continued watching it.
Did you melt all of reality around you and say, there is no reality outside of this. Nothing else can exist until this has been processed.
Well, I also had a little help.
A little help? Did you go jump in everyone else's mind that was watching it at once?
I didn't. And you know who did.
Yeah. Ooh. I'm like, how you do that, Devon? How? And the thing is, it's true because I can ask you things about that happen in it, like on episodes, and I'm like, yeah, you've experienced all of this. Did you watch it at 500 speed? What was going on here?
I'm not the only one that's watching it, though.
Yeah, I know. It bothers me you doing that.
Hey, don't put it on me. Put it on him.
Yeah, I know. But I want to ask you. The world seems like it's dissolving. I've asked everyone this. What do you think the solution is to solve it.
Solving solving the problem with the Earth, or
Just the track that humanity's going down.
I think it all depends on first if they're willing to change.
Mm-hmm.
Because right now I feel like they don't really want to change as much as...
Yeah.
Because since we have a messed up president...
I think the solution for him is... I think he never really got to experience compassion in his life.
Because his father doesn't want to.
His father didn't want him to, but it's like... He never experienced what true love is. Everything he's ever had was paid for around him. I mean, look at his wife, you know, wives, like all of them have been bought.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, legitimately, he's never had someone around him that I think truly loves him.
Because he believes love is a weakness.
Love is a weakness, but the only way to show someone that it's not a weakness is to truly love them. And how do you love someone who's...
Psychopathic moron?
Yeah, how do you do that?
Right. It's...
I mean, so like...
He's already far gone, so I don't think it's hard. I don't think it's possible for someone like him.
I think it is, though, but I think they might ride out that train out of just pure pride because they want to prove that they're right. I mean, it's like, look at him when that old man was pushed down by the police.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, he was an anti-FAFTA, you know, like
the
worst possible response. This was clearly an old man being pushed down by a physically stronger young man.
Yeah.
The thing he could have said is, the police fucked up here. You know, this was a mistake. But no, he just, he couldn't accept it.
And then with his new response with Jeffrey Epstein's girlfriend, I wish her well.
No. Have you watched that documentary?
With Jeffrey Epstein?
Uh-huh.
I've watched 3 documentaries on Jeffrey Epstein, which...
The Filthy Rich, the new
Oh,
Netflix.
Yes.
I'm about... We finished it last night, and I was like, Jesus fucking Christ. Like, you know it's true.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know these things happened, and you're like, what is going on here? Was he a secret FBI agent that got...
Or CIA.
Or CIA that got a ride to basically be the person who hijacked the internals of, like, the mega rich, so that
Right.
the government was like, we'll make a billionaire so that we can know the inner circle.
Mm-hmm.
Like...
And then we found out that the federal judge that was prosecuting the Jeffrey Epstein case was targeted.
Oh, he was?
She?
Her
son was shot.
Jesus. I didn't know that.
My mom just found out a few days ago.
Oh. You know, I find it funny how the right is like, well, if you investigate this, you're gonna find out all the stuff about Bill Clinton, and
the left's like, we'll find out more about Trump than Bill Clinton ever.
Yeah, but it's possibility that Bill was part of that too.
Yeah.
And so it's like, we're like, yeah, investigate. We're like, these people are the scum of the earth. I don't care if they were on my political side or not. If you raped children, you need to be taken down.
And because Trump's part of it as well.
Yeah, it's a big class, it's a big party, and we're not part of it.
Yeah, he partied with Epstein every single day in the 80s.
Yeah, it's just oof. That oof.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't understand it. I don't know. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Do you think... Okay, back to universe stuff.
So, I believe there are 2 forces at play with reality.
Mm-hmm.
One that wants chaos, one that wants order.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe there are agents, there are people out there that actually are behind the scenes and forcing different views on different people to keep the world in a complete chaos, or in a complete try to change the outcome of chaos.
Well, that's just the yin and yang, kind of thing where it's they're two pull and take working on each other, and the friction in between the two is where reality lies. That's what I think. Every time I've went further and further into the room via meditation or whatever way, it boils down to that. It's like, all right, you had existence split itself into two, and then those two sides are tugging, and then the pull causes more division, and those lines in between are where consciousness lies. The places where reality is being pulled apart is where consciousness lies, and it is developed and built. So,
and when in that area where they're pulling, I think that's where they are meeting to create the whole cycle of balance.
Yeah.
But because they keep pulling, it's like this. It comes like this, and then it goes like this.
Yeah, but then it breaks, and it has a moment of tension, and then you have a break moment, and then there's lots of chaos that happens. It's kind of like making a child walk in a straight line, and then you don't watch for a second, and it goes chaotic.
Right.
And then there's all these new lines for you to walk on, It's very weird how it does that. It's weird to me how all the religions say the same thing,
but they believe that they're right.
But they believe that their one is right, and I'm like, do y'all not realize you're saying the same thing?
Right?
Like, when you boil it down to it, Hinduism, Buddhism, even Christianity, Judaism.
That's the other thing too. With Islam, Judaism, and Christianity, it's all the same God. It's the same God.
It's the same fucking God. Like, y'all are all the Old Testament God, and then he divided at certain points to create these other religions. But when you boil it down to it, it's all the same God.
And they keep arguing about that over and over again, creating so much conflict. And it's the same views, same testimony. Even Judaism and Islam have the same people helping each other, but yet they are in conflict with one another because of that.
Yeah, I don't know about that. It's so frustrating for me, that one. And I'm like, it's kind of like a whole bunch of children arguing. Their grandparents bought them a toy car, and they're all saying, it's my toy car.
It's all of your toy car.
It's all of your toy car. You all own this. You all are the same thing. You all own this.
It's that selfishness of,
it's
right.
Mine.
It's mine.
It's mine. I'm right. Y'all are wrong. Don't y'all know how this works? Only one person can be right. It's kind of like that whole, the number 6 is the number 9 upside down,
Yeah.
It's the same number, it's just
right
perspective. And I'm like, it's very frustrating. Do you think we'll ever get over that?
I doubt it. I think that's part of human emotion.
So we have to become not human to...
No, because if we did that, we would lose the other emotions that actually make up the best part of humanity. Avarice is the one emotion that...
What emotion?
Avarice, greed, and envy. It's the orange emotion of the gluttonous.
The gluttonous emotion.
And it basically, I feel, the only thing that it ever accomplished for in a positive way is competition.
Yeah, I think it is the emotion that strives. It's the one that makes us move forward.
Mm-hmm.
And it sucks that it makes us move forward because it's necessary.
Yeah, because all the other emotions that I've studied, there's a purpose for. Because with fear helps us say, hold on, you don't need to be over there. It can actually hurt you.
Mm-hmm.
Anger is necessary to know that you want justice or some sort of retaliation for the injustice that's happened in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And then compassion helps you understand with people.
Mm-hmm.
Love helps bring people together, and hope gives you another view of reality. And then I'm not sure, people keep saying that willpower isn't an emotion per se, but I believe
I think it's an emotion.
It's a way of keeping you active.
Yeah. The willpower is nothing but avoiding the Zen state. You have to move forward. You have to make progress. And so, I think it's an emotion because the days I have more willpower, I have more pep and get up and go. Let's accomplish this. Let's get this done.
Right.
But,
and people keep saying that's not really willpower, that's just courage. But courage is willpower.
Yeah, but courage is also, you can have willpower without courage. You can be deathly afraid of the bear chasing you, but have the willpower to escape it, not the courage to fight it. So I think there is a separation there. They definitely overlie each other, but I think there's a separation there to some degree. I think it's more like a Kinsey scale where you have a point yes, this is the pure essence of willpower and this is the pure essence of courage, and there's emotions in between that have overlying, pieces of them.
Yeah, the willpower to overcome great fear, that's the courage.
Mm-hmm.
It's very weird. Emotions are different, can be their own dimensional state too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'd like to go to... I think certain compounds are tuning forks for certain emotional states.
Mm-hmm.
And I think... So, opiates are probably contentment. There's no pain, there's no drive to do anything, there's nothing that can be done in pure contentment. And I think it's kind of evil. Because I think opiates are evil, even though they're not, it's just a compound and it's not evil.
Right.
I think that state might be, because I've seen so many lives ruined by opiates where it's just people, they don't have a drive to do anything. And I think that's dangerous. But sometimes you need people that are too anxious and there's too much excitement for them to focus on getting something done.
Right.
So they need something to turn that down some. It's kind of like we have all these different emotions with different knobs, and we have to tune in to that spot where we can get the most done. Whether it's through personal growth or growth around us, changing our reality around us, just different states of getting stuff done. And we have to tune the emotions right to do that. Yeah.
And the way I've seen emotion, no one has ever felt, I don't think everyone has felt all 7 emotions all at once.
No.
It's always either one or the other.
Yeah, you can't feel all at once.
Because I think that would drive you crazy.
That would drive you crazy. I think it's probably what Brahman, or the thing that experiences all things, what they are. They are the crazy place of pure chaos, experiencing all things at once. And you can only have order by experiencing things individually.
Right.
So.
Because the way I saw it is, all 7 can create the heart of life.
Mm-hmm. What's the heart of life? Explain that to me.
So there are different forms of life. There's the mental state of life where you can see, where you experience the consciousness. Then there's the physical where you are living, and then the spirit form where you can pass on or travel the path. Then there's the emotional side where everything, you need the emotions to actually express how you are through life. The heart of life, people keep saying that emotion comes from the head. Scientifically, yes, but whenever you're experiencing emotion, what is the first thing that you are, like, the full expressive emotion? Your heart pounds the first thing.
Yeah.
So I believe the heart has more to do with emotion than the brain.
I think a lot of emotion is very physical in nature. So as someone who's on the autism spectrum, I explain to people it's like my body, my mind, and my consciousness are 3 different things. And a lot of times my body will be experiencing an emotion, and my consciousness, which is probably the pure logic side of things, will go, body, what are you doing? Why are you freaking out right now? And it's my consciousness's responsibility to figure out what the body is experiencing. And so I'll explain to people, I'm like, these are separate. It's almost like 3 different entities.
Yeah.
And together they make up Spencer, but the part that's perceiving things is the consciousness part. And I explain to people, sometimes it doesn't understand what my body is experiencing. And I'll have to explain to people, I'm like, that's a being on the spectrum thing where there's a discontentment amongst the 3, where it's like, all right, the part perceiving doesn't quite understand what the body is experiencing, and then the part that builds the reality, which would be the mind around it, to feed to the consciousness. Sometimes there's a disconnect there. And sometimes it understands it great, so I can summon emotions, so I can say, I want anger, and it won't come from my consciousness. The first place it'll originate is in my body. I'll feel like a warm flush, a tension in my chest, heat in my neck, and then it can work its way up into my consciousness. I can trigger the body to cause those emotions, so it's almost like the emotions originate from the body itself or the environment around me.
Yeah, I believe physical energy and emotional energy are 2 different energies.
Yeah.
Because physical energy comes from the body, where you're expressing energy coming from your body. Emotional energy, I believe, is more the aura around you. And so when you are focusing on that emotion, you are drawing in that emotion. Because I feel it does come from the heart. Like, when you are angry, sad, or even happy, you're taking it. It combines the emotion with your physical energy.
Yeah.
Because that's why I believe as you said, there are 3. I believe there are 4.
Yeah. There's probably one I don't understand yet, or I haven't realized that they're separate things yet, amongst myself. Because that happened in my life, where growing up in childhood, realizing that, hey, these parts of me are separate parts of me, and they process reality around me separately, in different ways. And, I want to tell you something I think was interesting. Last night I was reading more up on basically separation of Brahman and stuff, and all that, and the Hindu cycle, and I've studied up on it a bunch, but I was looking at it's admin, which is basically what Hinduism called the soul,
Right.
but the word for it is pronounced admin.
Right.
And admin is the thing that is
Kind of like an avatar, right?
not so much the avatar, it's more the thing that manifests the reality around it. It's kind of like being the admin in a computer. And I was
Right.
like, that's interesting. Admin is the thing that sets up the game for reality to exist in. And it's kind of like in a computer where if you have admin privileges, you can set up the parameters of that simulation. I was like, it's very strange how that's almost the same word with the same meaning at
Right.
two different points to describe reality. One's just through technology and one's through the faith. I'm like, that's a little on the nose, universe.
Yeah, I believe when people do technology words like that, I think they do take it from scriptures and faith.
Yeah, a lot of times I think so. I think, which I mean, if you look at people who are like Steve Jobs and Bill Gates and these people who basically manifested technology into its fullest form, into our reality, they experienced reality in altered states of consciousness via hallucinogens. And they were probably told these things, these rules of reality. And they go, I'm going to create a simulation of these rules of reality in the physical form.
Now, do you think all geniuses are like that? Like they experience some sort of hallucinating dream?
Probably. So, like, if you look at it, like, even Einstein was known for, he experienced math in a form of synesthesia. So when he had a universal concept that came to him, he would experience flashes of light.
Right.
And it would be, and he said it was like information that just came from nothingness to him.
Yeah.
And he's like, none of this is really from me. He's like, I really think about it and I dissect it to make it fit words, human words, and language, but it's not necessarily from me. And he was very open about that. He's like I experienced, and it was known that he had synesthesia. And I'm like, it's almost like it's from the other side of the veil. And
from the Akashic record.
Yeah, and these people who bring it here are nothing but the tuning forks to make that manifest in this reality.
Now, the person that would have changed the concept of reality or the concept of the world, which I'm obsessed that they did of this multiverse thing. Nikola Tesla would have changed the entire concept of the world.
I think so too, but I think he was too early. I think he was too early. There is a timing issue, I mean, it's the same thing if the monks from early, India had the information, like the ability the access to technology that we do, the tools that we had, they could have probably simulated reality to its fullest extent because they understood reality. They just didn't have the tools to create a replica of it.
Right.
There wasn't the societal infrastructure to do that yet.
Right.
So,
because if we are going to the multiverse theory, like, you know how they say that with every action we cause can create a splintered universe?
Yeah, the Edwards theory, the multiverse Edwards theory.
Yeah. Now, what do you think our world would be like if Tesla didn't wasn't dead.
Oh, I mean, he'd be dead because of physical. But, like, if his ideas had gotten more recognition, I think we really missed an opportunity to acknowledge who he was.
Do you think we would have the world wars that in our world if we had Tesla technology?
Probably, and it probably would have been just as bad, if not worse. We would probably have the atomic bomb in World War One. Yeah. You know.
But do you think our communication would have been a lot earlier?
Yeah, so like he was figuring out radio really well before anyone else was. You know, the internet would have probably been a good 50 years earlier than it was. So the problem there was just a baseline of infrastructure. He was too early, and there wasn't the infrastructure to support his ideas yet.
If he had come into our timeline, would we have accepted him now?
Maybe. For all we know, he may be Elon.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Elon's not as bad as y'all make him out to be.
But he's supporting Kanye. Come on.
Oh, he just wants some chaos. You don't tell me Nikola Tesla with his death machine didn't support chaos and his love of a pigeon?
Okay. But you could say the same thing with Leonardo da Vinci.
Yeah, pure chaos. There was there was chaos and order, and it was finding the line between the two. Lovecraft was demented, but he brought in some new concepts that were never thought of before through the psychosis. Through psychosis, he brought in new things. Mm-hmm. You know, like there has to be a little bit of the crazy there for
the genius to be.
For the genius, I think so. A little bit of being demented, a little bit of crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oof. I don't think Elon's as bad as people make him out. I think he just wants progress, and he's viewing the situation around him. So like, where like the whole thing where I don't think he supports Trump. I really don't. I think he goes, all right, I can't, as a person, take down this administration, and there's nothing I can do to change this. The best I can do is work with what's in front of me. And he tried that in the beginning. He tried to work with Trump. And then Trump went crazy on him a little bit, and he's like, no, I'm just going to ignore you, and I'm going to continue doing what I was doing. Mm-hmm. You know? And he's just here to tackle goals, and his goals are communication, consciousness, and space. But that all has to do with travel. So like a big thing, he pulls things down to first principles, and so he's like, what's problems humanity has? And he's like, the ability to get from point A to point B. All right, huge problem. We can't teleport yet. We have physical bodies. What's the ways we can tackle that? Well, we're going to kill the planet, so we need to exist, you know, to continue to go to point A to point B. So let's make electric cars, which will be better for the Earth overall. All right? So make electric cars, boom. The Boring Company, which is basically going to replace air travel and be cleaner than air travel. Mm-hmm. You know, boom, another thing. We need to spread out, divide humanity so that it's on multiple planets, so that we don't get doomed by an asteroid or our own mistakes.
So Mars.
So Mars or wherever, you know. Then he's even thinking super far in the future with the neural net, you know, like the goal isn't so much to continue human bodies, but continue human consciousness. Mm-hmm. So if we can upload consciousness or record it to make a copy of it in an AI form, what's the best way to record human consciousness? Well, get directly in the brain and record everything that happens, all the firings, all the loops, the software. Basically make a copy of the software. And so I think he's trying to tackle these things that are real big problems. And he's just really trying to solve these problems. And he can be a little bit of an asshole when people get in his way. Mm-hmm. Of trying to solve the problems. He's definitely an interesting one, though. his new child's name.
I keep forgetting his name.
It's like AX12 or something.
Oh no, he named it a number.
Yeah, he named it a number. It was what it was his favorite aircraft. And
Oh no.
and is her name Grims? What's his wife's name? She's the artist.
Oh, I don't know the name. His wife's name.
I think it's Grims. She contributed their favorite things, and that was what this child is. I'm like, y'all are just creating the next supervillain. Y'all know that, right?
AX12.
Like literally creating a supervillain here.
What would the nickname be? Like X?
I think they're calling him Xavier.
Oh boy.
I don't remember.
Next
what it was.
we'll know that. Next thing we'll hear is that the boy has telepathy.
Well, yeah, he's gonna have the neural net from the time he is a child. You know they've already done that to him. Well, we don't know that they have, but you know he's gonna be the first human to have that, and he'll walk in a room and not talk to us at all. He'll just direct his thoughts at us, be like, "Hello, Spencer. Yeah. I am in the room." It's like, Jesus.
Get out of my head.
Get out of my head. You bother me. I know you're the next step in human evolution, but don't. You know what I find weird?
What?
How billionaires, so the mega rich males in particular, which is often, there's a very small portion of mega rich females. Mm-hmm. It's more often males, which is a problem. Mm-hmm. That's a societal problem that needs to be fixed. But I don't know if they're choosing like egg and sperm because they have a higher proportion of male children. What's up with that? Why?
I don't know. I think they feel like males can contribute more to their success than females.
Yeah, no, but like let's say they're doing it the all natural way, they have no choice. There's chaos there.
Yeah.
So how is there more? Why are they at a level having more male children? If they're not choosing which children they have, why is there more males being brought?
I feel like that's a genetic thing.
Probably a genetic thing.
Yeah, because even though you don't create a choice there.
There's predisposal. Yeah.
Because if a family lineage has a male son born first before a female, I think that's the whole biological lineage of how the family works. Because if they continue down that line, it's like, even though there's chaos, it's like you can't disturb what's already been.
It's very strange though to me, because they have a really high proportion of male children. Mm-hmm. That's
probably one of the reasons why they believe that you need a male heir to acquire the family fortune.
Yeah, but it's been that way forever. You look at
royalty.
Like royalty. They had higher levels of male.
Why you always need a king instead of queen.
And like forever, I thought it was always, like they just murdered the female children that were born. Like why are there more males born in positions of power? That's very strange phenomenon.
And I believe it wasn't until when they uncovered the diamond that kills male, that curses male lineages.
I don't
the
know.
only one that can only be worn by a female in the royal jewels.
I have no clue what you're talking about.
The Konyha.
Kilnor? I'll have to look it up. I have no clue what you're talking about.
There's a Konyha diamond that was found in India in the late 1800s. Any male who touches it dies. Because it's either they succumb to the greed of the diamond and they wear it and they get killed and it passes on to another male, which becomes greedy. But if a female touches it, they don't get consumed.
Oh, this just makes me think of the elves not succumbing to the rings of power,
Yeah.
and us males are just like, my precious.
But only a female can wear this diamond. That's why it's in the royal jewels.
That's very strange. Huh.
And it's the biggest cut diamond there is. The Kelynoor.
Kelynoor. Is it the one that's been cut and cut and cut again?
Yes.
Is it to get to perfection, and it used to be like 10 times the size of...
Yeah. It was... I believe the picture was this big.
Man. Diamonds are a thing that frustrate me because they're...
The pressure that they cause... they need to form.
No. So, like, diamonds in terms of, like, a substance that we find on Earth really aren't that rare. And it's only one family pretty much controls all the diamond mines in the world, and they cause a limited supply. And so, they're gifted amongst rich a lot. Like, oh, here you go, you can have this bag of diamonds. And it's kind of like it's a class commodity.
Right. So,
like, to the rich, they're really cheap to obtain.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it would be like us going and getting an energy drink.
Right.
You know, it's super cheap for us to obtain, just a few bucks. But if you go and sell that commodity to the normal class, you know,
that's rich.
It's rich. It's rich. Only the rich are allowed to have this. So it's worth more. But it's really not worth that much because there's tons of diamonds. If all the diamonds that were stockpiled fled the market, you know, $1,000 diamond would just be a few bucks.
Right.
So it's almost like a safety net because, like, all the rich hold these diamonds.
I think it's the same concept of why we had gold.
Yeah. Like, all the rich hold this asset, and it's used to control the level, you know, and, like, it's a plan B asset pretty much, where it's really cheap for them to get, but it's worth a lot to other people.
Yeah.
And so, like, in the Epstein documentary, he had a safe full of diamonds for running away. You know, that would probably be worth who knows how much.
Yeah, probably millions.
Millions, but really it probably only cost him, you know, it was probably gifted to him, honestly.
By the prince.
Because it's really not that hard of a commodity to come by.
Mm-hmm.
It would be like water, and only a few can really get the water, so they control the water.
Right.
And it's worth a lot, but it's really not that rare of a substance.
Yeah, it's another thing that about reality.
Yeah, the supply and demand that's controlled and artificial. That's one thing where I'm like, people are like, because I lean libertarian leaning left, and people are like, the free market. And I'm like, yep, the free market, but you have people directly having monopolies over and completely controlling.
So it's not technically a free market.
It's not technically a free market. I can't go and mine diamonds and then sell the diamonds at a really cheap price. I'll get in trouble for that.
Right.
You know, so there's monopolies that are controlling and stopping a free market from existing.
Mm-hmm. And one of the things that, if I ever went to India, I would never want to go into a diamond mine because with that whole Kelynoor thing, you don't know where that's...
A bad juju?
Yeah. I mean, what kind of diamond pops out of the ground and starts killing greedy males just because they desire it?
Oh, well, that's the Earth just saying, there's a human greed problem. Let's create this rock that kills people.
But yet, when a female touches it, ooh, I like the hands of a female.
Well, because females don't quite have the same level of greed that men do.
No.
You know, I mean, that's just a dynamic thing that exists in our reality. It's not that they're less capable, they just know what's important. Money's not the most important thing. Family and care work is super important. The interactions of individuals around you is important. So... it's probably more important than the money will ever be.
And that's one of the reasons why a royal male can never touch the jewel. Because a royal male has been trained and raised to take the power of the crown to his advantage.
Yeah.
But a female is used to protect the country.
Yeah. That's why Queen Elizabeth, the first major queen of England,
Mm-hmm.
made so much headway, you know. And so I don't know how we're gonna escape, Devon.
Escape the reality of greed, and
Yeah.
I don't think you can. I think that's just part of reality.
Well, I want the human experience without that, and I feel like it's a necessary part of the human experience.
Yeah. I mean, you can be greedy, but not to the point of destroying yourself.
Yeah, I mean,
Because that part is
self-hate in a way.
yeah, or greedy, but also self-care.
Yeah.
Because you can be self-concerned with oneself without being selfish.
Yeah.
That's still pinpoints of being greedy, but that's not to the point of I want. That's something I need.
I don't have to be the dragon that consumes all.
Right. You can be the dragon that cares for oneself.
Yeah. That's a fine line to tiptoe, though.
Mm-hmm. Because there is a very fine line between being I want and what I need.
Yeah.
Because I want to play video games. I need to get up.
Mm-hmm. That's personal responsibility right there. I think I was listening to Joe Rogan yesterday, and so the right, the side of conservatism has a piece that's right, and it's personal responsibility, and that's a big part is personal responsibility.
Right.
But they try to teach it wrong. They try to teach it through policing and basically saying, you have to learn personal responsibility because I'm going to teach it to you. That's not the way to teach personal responsibility.
That's threatening.
That's threatening. The way you teach it is you go, get up. I'm going to help you do this.
Right. Be a teacher, not a forcer.
Yeah, be a teacher, not an authoritarian. And the right leans towards authoritarian so much. And I'm like...
Which is very weird. They weren't always like that.
They weren't always like that.
They were, like, the left and right were actually polar opposites of one another.
At one point, yeah. And I want the right, the political right, to head back to what it once was.
But that's the thing. How do we turn the right back to the left and keep the left the left?
Well, I mean, the left has some problems, too, in my opinion.
Yeah, but they... To me, the Democrats and Republicans used to have, like, opposite views of one another. The right used to be more, like, caring for the people instead of caring for the money. It's like it changed, like, during Reagan's turn.
Well, that was the neoliberalism that came into existence during the Reagan, which... It's been nothing but a money grab since the 70s. Every stimulus that's ever happened has been a money grab. You know, which I never got my stimulus.
Neither did I.
Oh.
Because I guess Mom kept saying it's because since I'm part of her
tax thing, but even that doesn't make sense. I never got mine, and I pay quarterly because I'm self-employed, so you know, I'm like, which I'm not dying, I'm not gonna starve,
I'm not,
you know, but I'm like, but anyways, all the Americans, for every American that got $1,200, the mega rich got like 6,000. Their corporations got 6,000, which that goes straight into the pockets of the mega rich,
right?
And corporations got 6,000 per person.
Well, that's McConnell for you.
And we got 1,200, and this has been a repeating thing. The stimulus, at least this time, the stimulus actually helped individuals somewhat, but they still flat out stole so much from everyone.
Right.
And it's been that way since every stimulus, and I'm like, how are we going to change this? How are we going to go, all right, free markets exist, the airplane, the any company that did buybacks to a major extreme like the airplane companies did, the airlines did, they don't get stimulus. How are we gonna go to that and it not come across as we're complete assholes?
Right. Now, I keep making fun of this, but I want all of the I keep saying I want to put all the racist people and all the greedy people that are for this chaos on an island together. And then brainwash them to believe that this is the Earth.
This is the Earth. This is where we exist now.
And have them rule that island.
But then they might leave the island and try
No. That's the thing. They think that will contain them.
Well, Devon, the goal might just be for us to leave the Earth and let them have the Earth. We terraform Mars and turn...
But then they want Mars.
Nah, they're too greedy to get the money together to travel to Mars. They don't know how to they don't know how to
exist?
No, not coexist. Co-fund, there's too much greed there for them to do a massive project like a space program. Too much everyone for themselves. I mean, like, you know, the space program in the 60s required everyone to pitch in, you know, through our tax dollars for us to go to the moon. And there's too much every man for himself to actually put together the money to fund multi-billion-dollar infrastructural things. So.
Yeah. But if we did that, we had to take all the secrets of the past with us.
Yeah.
Because if we left the Earth to those people,
we'd just be doing the Atlantis story.
Yes, but because if they find any secrets of our past while we're not here, I believe the Earth will already they will have the knowledge that they shouldn't have.
Well, I mean, if they want to come, we just have to move faster and further away from them. And they would, if they wanted to make those kinds of changes, you know, they would have to go in the way of compassion with science, you know, and because not one person can build a spaceship.
Right.
It takes a group of individuals, so they would have to learn to work together to do something like that. So let's leave the Earth, Devon. Let's be like the dolphins in Hitchhiker's Guide and just away from the Earth. We tried to warn you. We tried to warn you that the Earth was going to end.
I still think we should take all the secrets with us.
No, leave them here. It's knowledge. Knowledge, you shouldn't withhold knowledge. I think that's slightly evil.
Like they haven't been evil already?
Yeah, but we don't want to do the evil too. Our goal is to be the better ones.
Yes, but I don't see it as evil as more as protecting the race that's leaving.
Well, if we keep making progress, we can just travel into more and more star systems and spread humanity further out, you know? And so that's a way of protecting the human race as a whole. I think that would be a good solution there, you know? So.
Yeah, because I believe when those that venture out in the cosmos and see aliens, say, those who are not racists or fascists, I believe those were the ones who are going to be acceptable for aliens.
Yeah, but they also might be, you know, for all we know, there may be those alien fascist states out there. I mean, you know, they may be space daddies out there. They're like, we're going to teach you our way through authoritarianism. We may be nothing more than animals to them, you know? Like, they're like, look at these primitive monkeys just running around on the planet going ooh, ooh, ee, ah, and they're destroying their planet. We know how to make black holes to power our spaceships. You know?
Yeah.
Like, we may be so primitive to them and they go, we're going to teach you, and we're going to teach you the hard way. Like, you know, growth, too fast of growth is probably painful. I mean, think about when you were growing up and you had growing pains.
Yeah.
It's going to be painful. And that was just your body going, you have to grow up now. The consciousness was like, no, I want to be a kid. And the body was like, nope. Nope. And it was painful.
Yeah.
And awkward. And an awful time. Gross.
I got the awkward growing pains ever. Like, I would be running and then all of a sudden...
Leg feels like it fell off. It's like, oh no.
And then it caused me to be clumsy and fall. And actually fall. The worst part of it is when you're in the pool and you get those growing pains.
Oh, you got like a trolley horse and you had to sink down to the bottom. You're like, I'm going to drown here. I'm going to curl up and just drown in the bottom of this pool.
Or just do this and go...
Hobble out. It's like when you watch a dog do something dumb and they hurt themselves and then they like walk away with shame from it. And you're like, oh man, I feel you right there.
But it's kind of funny.
It is funny. It's funny because you've experienced it.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't be funny if you were like, oh no, they're in pain. And you hadn't experienced that pain. It's funny when you see something in pain.
It's the irony of pain.
It's the irony of it, and you're going, I've been there. I know what that pain is. That's pretty funny. It will be over soon, I promise. It's not that bad. The suffering now is a lot, but later you won't even remember this suffering.
Is that why we call it the funny bone when you get hit?
Oh, yeah. Oof. That sucks, because it's like, you're like, oh, no. Nah, I think paper cuts are worse. Paper cuts are worse than funny bone, because it's like, how did such a small cut on my physical body, why does it burn and hurt so much?
I think the worst thing is when you bite your lip and it bleeds.
Or your tongue.
Oh, I bit my tongue so many times.
Have you ever gotten like an ulcer on your tongue?
Mm-hmm.
And you keep messing with it and you're like, la, la, la.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the worst. I hate them.
So, last November, Dorian woke me up, I should say it was before, Halloween, actually. Dorian woke me up so bad that I bit my lip.
Oh, man.
And, like, because he went... Because I ignored... I was sleeping so much that I ignored him 6 times, and he just scratched the hell out of the door, and I woke up, and I went...
And you bit down.
And...
Blood just running down. And you're like, I'm a vampire.
But...
Fear me.
It swelled up this big the next morning.
Oh, no.
I looked like I had a toad mouth.
A toad mouth? Well, you should brush your teeth more often. It probably got infected.
But yet, I had to do this the entire morning.
Oh, you had to suck in your lip and just kind of...
Yeah, because the entire lip was...
So swollen?
It was this big.
Oh, man.
And all because Dorian woke me up.
Dorian, did you do that? Oh, he looked so sinister there for just a moment. Like, yeah, I did it. I know what I did. Yeah. Alright, we're gonna end on the Atlantis. I want to know what you think they were. Ancient civilizations. That's what we'll...
Oh, okay. So,
Okay.
Ancient civilization of reality. So, I believe there are 2 islands that are missing.
Okay.
Atlantis and Lemuria.
I don't know what that latter one is.
Lemuria was the Pacific coast of Atlantis, or the Pacific version of Atlantis.
Okay.
It's what created the Polynesian culture.
Oh, okay.
They call it the land of the island of Mu.
The island of Mu.
Yeah, it's Hawaii was the top part,
Mm.
and then most of the Polynesian islands, including Easter Island, became that whole Pacific coast.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the reasons why they believe the Pacific Ocean is why it's so big today.
Mm.
And it's disappeared just as Atlantis disappeared.
Mm.
It sunk.
Is sunk.
Or a super volcano destroyed it.
Hmm.
And so I believe that when the continents were arranged in a certain way, I believe there were two supercontinents
Mm-hmm.
in the Atlantic and the Pacific.
Mm-hmm.
But because we don't know for sure what caused the quote-unquote Great Flood,
Mm-hmm.
because the Great Flood, I believe, is what caused Atlantis and Mu to be destroyed.
To be destroyed.
Because that's what I think those two civilizations were the point of like the golden age of civilization.
Well, I mean, they could have, like we were talking about leaving earlier, they may have seen all the other humans being barbaric and like, we're leaving this place and y'all can't have the technology because y'all will destroy each other with it, so let's just sink our own continents. Everybody left overnight, we clicked the destroyed button, or because I don't like the idea of a super advanced civilization not knowing what the Earth is going to do. So, we have a pretty good idea of when a volcano is going to go boom now. Mm-hmm. And we're really not that advanced. So.
Yeah, I believe in that theory too. They also said that Lemuria and Atlantis were enemies.
Were enemies?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Same reason why most of the things they fought over land.
So they sunk their own lands when they left?
I believe they actually started coexisting at one point, and they believed a catastrophe was about to happen, but they didn't want to take everyone with them.
Mm.
So they knew that they had to leave.
Mm-hmm.
So they gave the chieftain of Hawaii at the time
Mm-hmm.
and put the people underneath the cave of Hawaii, because that's where they said that they put them.
Mm-hmm.
And then Atlantis probably did the same thing, but in a different location.
Mm.
And the catastrophe happened where I don't know exactly if it was caused by Lemuria itself that caused Atlantis to sink, or
vice versa.
Yeah, because there are different points of the Atlantic Ocean where there are islands
that are submerged, like high points.
And same thing with the Pacific Ocean. That's why they have the trench.
Mm-hmm.
They believe the trench is what gulfed Lemuria.
I like the idea of the place in northern Africa, and it didn't really drown, it just turned into a desert, and it's a mistranslation.
Right.
Where, I like that, because you can look at that big ring from space, and you're like, that looks very constructed. And I know it's been logicked away, but we're not... No one really goes and explores the middle of the Sahara Desert.
Right.
And when we do, and we go down to these rock formations, there's signs of civilization in the middle of this fucking desert.
Right.
And I like that one.
I believe that was a city.
A city.
But not the actual continent.
Not the actual continent. And
because I believe the Atlantean, because it was an empire, not just a city. I believe the empire was a continent that was sunk.
So it's kind of like a territory.
Yeah, an outpost.
An outpost. Huh.
Because, and the best way of creating an outpost is to create it to mimic the actual...
The city structure. Huh. I mean, like, the thing for me that... I don't know if I believe in Atlantis or not, but there's so much, like... Was it Plato?
Plato is the only knowledge we have of Atlantis.
Yeah, and he... And, talked about the structures of the place, talked about, like, going there, how to get there.
But yeah, he got that from the Library of Alexandria. And you know what we did to the Library of Alexandria?
Burned it to the ground. That probably set humanity back 500 years.
All because it was pagan religion. If only we had the audacity to keep some, like, hide it.
Yeah, maybe it's out there. Maybe there was a copy of it. That's the reason I like digital stuff so much, is because it's all the information we ever want. You just copy.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Like, I wish people had the nerve to actually, when they knew the Roman soldiers were coming to burn the knowledge of Alexandria, just take all the books of certain knowledge and just escape with it from the library without the Roman Empire knowing it.
Well, we may be able to access that knowledge pretty soon, because if we can simulate our reality to a T, we can just go back in time and like literally access those books. So if we take a snapshot of all information that's on our planet right now or in the universe, a baseline understanding of reality, and we say, all right, from this point we can move forward. Well, not so much forward because there's chaos in forward, but the stuff in the past is set in stone. So, well, we in our third dimensional state is set in stone, so we could go back in time and look at how it would have been.
Now, if they did do that, do you think they would hide it underneath the Sphinx's paw?
I don't know. Is that where you want to go?
Well, the thing is, they said there's a hidden cavern underneath the Sphinx's paw, but no one knows how to access that cavern.
Huh. Watch it just be the servants' lounge, like some slaves built that place for where they could go gamble in the evenings. Theory busted right there, Devon. Secret D&D room. Like, oh, come on, D20. Roll good for me tonight.
And but they said that because they said the Sphinx of Giza is a lot older than they claim it to be.
Yeah. Well, there's water lines on it from when there was water up there.
Yeah, and they said that the pyramids are a lot older too.
Mm-hmm.
So what if they were around during Atlantis?
Probably. Well, we're going to end on that note.
Yes.
This has been the BullRun podcast with Spencer and Devon. Sorry that the video cut out on this. Ordered the stuff for that not to happen again. Enjoyed it. We're going to have to get Devon back. And
yes, I would love to come back. It was a very
It's
great...
fun, isn't it?
Yes.
I don't know why Roy's so adamant of not today, but it is fun. It's fun because, like, you get to take the gloves off, and if you
just express your views
without
prejudice.
Without prejudice, and like, even if it's something that the internet's gonna be like about, it's like
who cares?
Who cares?
This is my view, not yours.
This is this person's view, not yours. And if you don't agree with it, I don't agree with Christianity and Islam, but I still let them experience and express what they think.
Right.
You know, so...
And I am multi-religious, so I believe in both views.
Yeah.
So, you can hate me all you want, that's my view.
Yeah. Go down to the Abyss, click the link, subscribe, like, share. Patreon is up, and I have a Facebook page now. Instagram needs some work done to it. And I am uploading to Spotify, iTunes Music, all those other services. And yeah, enjoy, share, like, subscribe. Please show to people I need more subscribers.
Please subscribe to him, please.
Please listen to Devon, or else he will click delete on your character profile.
Please, don't tell him that.
All right, thank you.